Okay, we're now going to go to page 39. And I like to teach this in kind of an interesting way because we're going to have a little contest. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what the question is, then I'm going to answer it, and then I'm going to ask it. And rarely, it's not my teaching, it's concepts. Rarely do people really get weight loss, okay? So the question, and then I'm going to teach you about metabolism and some of these very interesting things that happen is, in what zone do I lose the most weight? And I think you, no, don't, I'm going to, before you jump there, okay, I'm going to tell you what zone you lose the most weight, then we ask you the question, and then we're going to have a winner. Hopefully we have a winner. So I always want to start when and I can go on for hours and hours. I wrote a whole book. The name of the book is Fit and Fat. It was a very popular book because it explains why fat isn't important, but fit is important. Doesn't really matter to us if you're fat because it is not that important to our physiology. What's important to our physiology is fitness, and I say our physiology, our life expectancy is where I'm going. So the first thing that I need to get into your heads is that weight loss is very complicated. You have been inundated with advertising from the beauty industry, the health clubs, the join my health club and you will lose 10 pounds. From people who take photographs before and after, which we probably all have, that weight loss is really simple. That calories in equal calories out. And that's another one of these horrible formulas that we have in the exercise world that is invalid. And where it came from, you know that formula, calories in? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I eat an apple, which is about 100 calories, and I run a mile, which is maybe, or walk, is roughly 100 calories, I won't gain any weight. But we watch these people eating apples and eating apples and eating apples, and they're walking and exercising, and every year they gain a little weight, and they gain a little weight. You see that in some of your friends, probably. So we eat more apples until we finally say, it's the formula that's broken, not us. Then we have the beauty industry and the weight industry coming up and saying, it's your responsibility, it's your fault, because you don't have willpower, or you're not tough, or you know what messages we get from there. And that thin is better than thick, and it's not necessarily better. We need some weight on our bones to sustain our living style. And so there is, and I'm on page, and I'm sure you've read about the max fat burning and the types of metabolism. There is something going on, and it's in the exercise science world, it's called a governor that's regulating our bodies. And it is very complicated. In the book Fit and Fat that I wrote, I labeled the black box. And it's very much like an airplane has a black box. And it's recording all of these things that are going on. But it's a black box. We don't really understand well sometimes what's going on inside our black box. So what's changing our body size or weight and whatever has to do with all of these very complicated things. It's not willpower. I have to tell you, the exercise science world doesn't have the answer. We cannot tell you why some people eat the same thing and exercise the same and stay thin, and others eat the same thing and exercise the same thing and put on weight. We do not have an answer. It's so complicated. I mean, we can send a spacecraft to Mars and measure that there's water on Mars, right? But understanding these complex things have really, really been. So the first thing is counting calories may work for you, it may not work for you. Has everybody been, how many different kinds of diets would you say you've been on if you wanted to lose weight in your life? All of them. And the issue isn't really, and I recommend you watch, there's a great HBO, it's on YouTube, it's free, called The Weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, The Weight of the Nation. Have you seen it?
No, but I can imagine.
It is fabulous. It's sponsored by Kaiser, the Mayo Clinic, and it is the most up-to-date that I have seen explaining this phenomena of the obesity of America as part of that world of trying to be an applied scientist, applying these principles from the research lab to real life experience. It's really hard. We're able to get weight off people. We can't keep weight off. The recidivism, what's the word I want?
Yeah.
Yes.
That word.
Going back.
Recidivism.
Yeah, it's about 3% of the people who lose weight can keep it off. There is a great website called the National Weight Registry. And if you've ever been to the National Weight Registry website, it's those who have lost 30 pounds or more and kept it off for 5 years. And they every year go, and those people that register, there's 5,000 people that are on the National Weight Registry. What is their behavior? What are they doing to keep it off? Because that's the tricky thing that's going on here is what are their behaviors? And it's going to really surprise you what people are doing to keep the weight off. So when people ask me about weight loss and how you do it, I say it depends. It just is so complicated that there's no one solution, there's no one way to do it. It really depends. But there is some research about where in these metabolic zones we burn the most calories, the types of calories we burn, what is sustainable for the length of time we can exercise. And so this is a research study that was done by the Cooper Institute, and it includes, and it's referenced 20,000 people and their longevity. And so we're going to play this first little game is who dies first.
Oh.
So of these conditions called fit and fat, which is there are different people in. So of these 4 quadrants, tell me who you think dies first.
Depends on the scenario.
No, well, we have 20,000 people that have been part of the study that are dying. So we know, and fitness is cardiovascular fitness, aerobic fitness. So the ones that die first are the not fits and the fats. They die first by a considerable amount, by the way. So if you want to have a long life, then you would not want to be in this quadrant, not fit and not fat. Who dies next? The not fits and the not fats.
Because they're still not fit. Yeah.
Correct. What is the similarity? Does fat have anything to do with, no, fitness? And this is what I need to try to get in through people's brains, that we need to work on fitness first and fatness second. Because if you're talking about health, that's what I'm talking about, not athletic performance, health, then the first thing we have to do is get fit and then deal with fat second. So who dies next? The fits and fats? So now the fits are going to die eventually. We're going to die. Yeah. Which of these are going to die next? The fits and fats and the fits and not fats?
Fits and fats.
No.
Fit, not fat.
No.
No? None of them die.
They died at equal rate.
Okay.
The prediction would be that the fats would have died first, and it doesn't. It does. So I keep coming back. It doesn't matter that you're fat. Get over it. We're going to probably all put on a little bit of weight over time and age. It is part of our aging process, but we can do something about our fitness. So let's focus on what is really important, which is our fitness. So this is a facts about people who are both fit and fat. We need to burn a lot of calories, so we need to move. The body doesn't really care too much about what kind of calories, but the body does care about how fit you are. So I am going to use a little example here of each of the zones, because I started this brief conversation on weight loss, that it's individual, that it's very complicated. The most important tool that you can use is a heart rate monitor. I want you to get a heart rate monitor. I'd like it to be a flashing color so I don't have to deal with numbers. But if you like them, I gave you your threshold numbers there. You can get out, do your workout and go, I got to be at 117 to 125, if you could remember that, or write it on your piece of paper, whatever, put it on your handlebars, I don't care. So in the different zones, we burn different amounts of calories. Do you want to spend 1 minute in zone 1 and burn 1 to 3 calories? or 1 minute in the orange zone, and spend 10 to 14? Which would you rather do? Spend 10 to 14 calories or 1 to 3 calories? 10 to 14. And a few other things. So now we know that as we get hotter and hotter and hotter, we burn more calories. As we can stay less time, less time, less time, that's tough. And what calories we're spending, I discussed in the zoning chart, we burn mostly fat and a little bit of carbohydrates in the blue zone, equal numbers in the yellow zone, and a lot of carbohydrates, that green. Got it? So we burn a different kind of calories. So the question is, what zone do I burn the most fat? I'm walking, right? I'm loving my Blink and all my different wearables, and I'm counting my steps and my stride rates and my distance, my accelerometers, and I've got my iPhone, and I'm like collecting all this data. I love zone 1. In zone 1, I burn this much fat and this much carbohydrates. The sum of those two, fats and carbohydrates, I burn this many calories. I like burning that many calories. I like the blue zone. Remember what the question is, what zone do I burn the most fat? That's where I'm going. I'm going to go over here. I'm now in my green zone. I'm walking a little bit faster. I love to walk a little bit faster. I'm burning some more calories. I'm like nice and warmed up. I love the green zone. I can go like all day long in the green zone. Remember, below T1, I can go all day long. I burn more fat and I burn more carbohydrates. I burn this many calories. I kind of like that. Kind of like that in the green zone. So I'm going in the yellow zone. Okay, I'm a runner. I'm now running because I'm in the yellow zone, right? I love to run, and I run, 100 miles at a time. I've won races of a mile to 100 miles. I mean, I just love to run. And in zone 3, I burned this much fat, and I burned this many carbohydrates, and I burn this many total calories. I told you, the body wants to burn total calories, burn lots of calories. Ready to go to orange? Orange is over here. It's my orange. Okay, orange, I'm going pretty strong. I'm getting ready to get near my second threshold, my VT2 and my LT2 and my anaerobic threshold. I'm just below that. And I can go I could run a marathon at this, I ran 2:52 at one point. Okay, I ran in the Olympic trials. And so I like it. In that zone, I burn this much fat. I burn this many carbohydrates. I burn this many calories in zone 4. I love zone 4. Do you like zone 4? Wait till I get to 5. Okay, zone 5 looks like this. I'm going to go really fast. I can't sustain it forever. I love zone 5, and I burn this many carbohydrates. I burn this much fat. I burn this many total calories in zone 5. You see it? It's totally clear. So you ready to win a prize? Yes. In what zone do you burn the most fat? Remember I did this and I told you how many calories and how many, in which zone? And that's why it's so confusing. Yeah. The answer is, it depends on how fit you are. It depends on how fit you are, because the fitter you are, the higher your thresholds go, the higher you can sustain. And that's why fitness is so important, because if you get fitter, you're going to burn more calories. And you get fitter, you're going to burn more fat. And your T1s and T2s are going to get bigger. And you're going to be able to go longer for more time. And that's what your body wants. So do you see why at first it was so clear, and then it got a little like, it depends. It depends on how fit you are. As you get less fit and your thresholds drop, the numbers drop, then you're not going to be as high a heart rate. And you get more fit, your thresholds are going to move, you can sustain it longer. Okay? So it's very complicated, it depends. And now I'm going to shift and I'm going to go to a printout that is not in your syllabus. And I printed it out really big because Joel asked me if I would spend a little more time on emotional fitness than what I usually do. So I work with a lot of experts, and one of them is a PhD in psychoneuroimmunology, Dr. Dan Rudd, and he and I worked together to develop. And I went to Dr. Dan Rudd, And I said, can you take all of the emotions in the world and put them on, all of the emotions, and put them on a 4 by 6 inch little card? So we have little emotional fitness cards that are this size. And he said, no, it would be impossible to put all of the emotions in the world on the card. And I said, I think you can do it. And he did. So together, we took the zone methodology and put all of the emotions in the world on a card. And we use this a lot, again, in our schools with children where they're trying to explain what their emotions and feelings are. I think we can use it in a lot of other areas where we try to say, how are you feeling? And I'll start with an example. I was living with a guy named John at one point, and I needed to borrow a bike pump because I couldn't find my bike pump. So I borrowed his bike pump, and I pumped up my tires, and I went on a road, and I came back. And when I came back, he's bald-headed, and the veins on his head were sticking out. He was so mad at me. He was irate. And his face was flushed. He had gone to zone 5 in the toxic zone. And I said, John, what's wrong? And he said, you borrowed my bike pump and broke it. And I immediately went, oh my God, I'm dealing with this irate, crazy person who has lost control of his, and this is a place where very bad things happen in zone 5. And I said, how can I calm him down so his cognitive mind takes over his emotional mind? And so I said, let's go for a little walk, and we'll talk about your bike pump. I mean, in reality, his bike pump didn't matter. I didn't break it. It flipped a switch. And you've all been there, haven't you? You know when you've gone to zone 5 and you do things like you regret what you've just said. And so we've developed a program where when we start to recognize that escalation is happening, we have our little card, we talk about emotions and feelings, what are our trigger points, and how can we, and created a program called ZAP, and ZAP is, okay, when I start to feel that, before I lose my frontal lobe being involved in decision making, I need to get down here in the blue and the green zones, these safe zones. So we do timeouts. So I want to briefly kind of talk about this safe zone. Part of your day, every day, you need time in the safe zone. You need to take this emotional stress off, and we need to have quiet time, recovery time. Meditation is a good practice. Prayer is a good practice. Walking quietly in a quiet area. But if we are always on, we need it. It's so stressful to our hormonal system, and we release cortisol. Cortisol loves to preserve fat and makes us heavy. So there's all kinds of hormonal things that happen if we spend our day up here in this stress zone. In the industrious zone is a really good place where we get a lot of productivity. You can sometimes get in the zone where time just goes by. You're just getting a lot of things done, and it's absolutely, I know, Mike, you're a web developer where you go, wow, where did that hour go? I was totally, do you know that zone that you get into that you just go, wow, that was so productive because I was able to focus. I was able to stay on task. And then as things happen and we go higher, we get into this distress zone where negative things happen. So I want you to maybe take the emotional heart zones chart and put it up and discuss with your family. It's a great way to talk about our emotions and share. And we start using language like, I'm starting to go from yellow to orange here. I better stop, reboot myself, take a deep breath of air, walk away from a situation, not open my mouth or get angry, and just cool my heart down. And so this is a really, really good tool for doing that with your, for adults or children or any kind of, and there's good descriptions of what happens in those zones. We want to spend part of our day in these 3 middle zones, 2, 3, and 4, because we get a lot, it feels good to accomplish things, and we get to accomplish and get things done. Okay, so we're now going to go do our last test, and then I'm going to come back in, and the last test is the word association test. It's on page 48. Okay, you got it in your cards. So now we're going to do is you're going to go back, you're going to get on T1, I'm going to describe T1, and you're going to associate, that's the word association, the effort with words. So we associated in the first test the effort with breathing. I pledge allegiance to the flag. So was my talk disrupted? The second one we associated with time. Could you hold this heart rate for 20 minutes? The third one, and some of these resonate better with some people than others. Some people have said, Sally, I say that Pledge of Allegiance and I can't tell where my talk is disrupted. And I say, great, then we're going to do another one that's might work with you. The last one is, can I associate the words about that effort with a heart rate number? Okay? Okay, let's go. You're going to bring your books. If maybe I'm not sure you need them. If you can remember your T1 and T2, that would be great.